Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time you're watching this. This is the intro to Collis's composition classes, the Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 2 o'clock, and the Tuesday, Thursday at 8 a.m. I hope everyone's having a good time. I hope that if you're watching this because you missed class, that it's informative. And if you're watching it because you have insomnia and you want to go to sleep, I hope it fulfills that function as well. This is the slide says, it's a class intro. Let's do a few basics. First off, these videos are going to be a quick overview of what was covered in class. They are not a substitute for class. Second of all, I am not a professional video maker. I am not a professional podcaster. These videos are going to be done in one take. So you will hear a lot of ums and ahs and whatever all else, especially since I'm out of practice. I haven't done this for a year and a half or so. And second, because there won't be any edits, you may hear my cat banging on the windows. You may hear the lawnmower from the neighbor. You may hear a doorbell. You may hear my wife swearing at me. All of those things are entirely possible. All I'm saying is this should give you the basic information you have if you have missed class. The basics on this slide also cover, for the first slide anyway, what's going to happen during the course of the class in fall 2022. Textbook is going to be John Green, The Anthropocene Reviewed. It's going to basically uh, be a series of essays that Green, who is most famous, I think, for writing a lot of young adult fiction, that Green wrote for his podcast with the same title, The Anthropocene Reviewed. So, yes, there is a podcast. And yes, you can listen to free for free. I don't believe he's made any new pods for a long time, a year or so. But anyway, you can listen if you want to. I would warn you that the podcast order is not the textbook order and it's not the class order. There will be extra things that may be on the podcast. There may be things missing from the textbook. I haven't listened to all of them. And for example, hot dog eating contest and chemotherapy. When we do this, there are two different hot dog essays in the book. We are going to look at the hot dog essays as part of comparison and contrast. So this order is going to be different. So again, I would urge you to buy the book. I'm sure there are lots of people telling you you don't need to buy the textbooks. I do think for this class, it's under $25. I believe it's under $20. B, I don't care if you do it on Kindle or if you do the hard copy. Either one is fine for me. C, there may well be drop quizzes and things. I'll talk about that later. Uh, they will be the essays will be the source of daily writings. Some of the essays may be the source of longer major essays. Having the book, I think, will be very important. Basic class period. Almost every class period, we are going to have a one question, one comment, or some sort of discussion that demands that students respond. We're going to discuss the signed reading. We will do a daily writing. Those will happen every class period. Some things that will happen during the course of a class period is we might sample, edit, or revise old essays. I might take essays from other sections. I might pull an essay from a class I taught a couple years ago. And we're going to go through and talk about how to edit it, how to revise it, how to make it better. And then hopefully you will be able to apply that to your writing. We'll discuss the reading assignment. We're going to discuss the writing assignments as well. We'll take half a class period or more over each of the major essays, just going through what my expectations are for those essays. We're also going to discuss editing, revising, planning, pre-writing, and writing strategy. All of those things will be part of it. D2L. D2L should be your first So stop. And off on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see that there's the Getting Started tab. That should be where you look. This is a screenshot from a couple of years ago, and it's going to look pretty close to the same. You will have the daily writing prompts, you'll have the essay assignment, you'll have the syllabus, you'll have the writing labs that I'll talk about a little bit later. You'll see the course description, you'll see the course outcomes. When you open D2L, if you go down a little bit, there may be messages. D2L, I think, will be the basic message thing where I communicate. I will also communicate via email. So please check your emails semi regularly. Mass messages will be issued through Brightspace D2L, as I said. Every assignment, the daily writing prompts will be posted in that Getting Started window, as I said. And any quizzes, any major quizzes. For example, I believe I'll have a quiz on logical fallacies. Those quizzes will be assigned and completed on D2L. Google Classroom. All writing assignments will be assigned from and completed in Google Classroom. I prefer the Google Classroom interface to the D2L or Brightspace interface when it comes to correcting and getting the assignments submitted to me and interfacing with the gradebook. There's going to be a link to Google Classroom on the Brightspace D2L. All you need to do to get into Google Classroom is log in with your Mount Marty credentials. The classes that use Google Classroom should appear there. I don't know if I'm the only one. I think other professors have used them as well. And the grades will be posted to Google Classroom as well. And you can check them there as we go through things. All right. And we will probably, if you're in the class or in class, we will probably spend a little time setting up Google Classroom. If you have any questions, you can contact me via email or stop by during office hours, and we'll try to get you set up. Every day that there's a class, everyone should do a daily writing. Every day there's a class, everyone should do a daily writing. And the daily writing prompts will be posted on the Brightspace under Getting Started. They will be posted and sent out via Google Classroom. You will do them via Google Classroom. Those daily writing prompts are going to be a chunk of the grade, and every day there's class, there'll be a daily writing. The prompts will be posted on a table that looks like this. You'll see the date, you'll see the prompt. I will try to have it so that, this shows the 31st. The next one will be the 2nd, and so on. And the prompts will just move on up as we go through. And so the most recent prompt will always be on the top of this table. Major essays. The summary response essay will be a little bit shorter, so it's going to go in as 50 points. The narrative, the definition, the comparison and contrast, the cause and effect will be longer. They will go in as 100 points. And the major essays are going to be the biggest chunk of your grade. Moving on to grading, I think the thing that students are most interested in, perhaps, major essays are 60% of your final grade. The daily writing and in-class writing is 15% of your final grade. The conferences and writing lab are 10% of the final grade, and the random Kala stuff, quizzes and drop quizzes and other things that just don't fit into any other category. So they're just going to be called random Kala stuff, are going to be 15% of your final grade. The conferences/writing lab, if you show up and participate, you'll probably get full credit. The daily writing, unless you are plagiarizing or unless you are basically saying F you, it'll be pretty tough not to get most of that. So people will have a big chunk of the grade is just going to be showing up, participating, doing your best. The major essays and the random Collis stuff will be the A's, B's, C's. They'll be the biggest differentiation in the grades. More grading stuff. 90 to 100 is going to be an A, 80 to 89 is a B, 70 to 79 is a C, 60 to 69 is a D, 50 to 59 and below is an F. If I record a letter grade on a paper, when it goes into the grade book, A is going to be 98, or I may record a 98 right on the paper. A minus will be 93, B plus will be 88, B will be 85, B minus 82, and you can see the rest of it here. I like the ideas of pluses and minuses, especially on the essays. If I decide that the paper is really terrible and I give it an F, I'm recording it at 50. There will be one exception to that, and that'll be plagiarism. If the paper is plagiarized, I will record 0. If you're not in class, let me know as soon as possible, especially if you're going to be gone for an extracurricular activity. Please let me know as soon as possible. Do the daily writing. Do the daily writing. The slides that are used as class notes will be made available. Most of the time, that availability will be in the form of a video where you will hear my voice and you can use it to, cure your insomnia if you have it. Remember that excessive absences may reduce your grades. Look to the syllabus. It's on the syllabus. It's recorded here. Absences may reduce your grade if they're not excused. Writing workshops. The basics of the writing workshop or writing lab. 4 or 5 students will report to class. The list of students who will attend each session will be posted on D2L. I'm going to wait a week or so to get the rosters finalized. Those students and the instructor who work together on essays in progress or essays that have been submitted and graded, or longer daily writings, or any combination of things to help students in a smaller group get to writing better. Students not in the classroom will watch a video or a slides presentation and do a daily writing. So even on the writing workshops, if you're not in class, you still have to do the daily writing. You still have to watch a video, but it'll be 25 minutes instead of 50, or it'll be 25 minutes instead of 75 if you're in my Tuesday, Thursday class. If you have questions, please ask. My office is in Bede Hall 321. My office hours Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. to 3:45 p.m. I will probably be there a little earlier and stay a little later. On Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. or a.m., excuse me. And if you can't make one of those times, I think we can make an appointment to work things out. The office phone is 605-668-1311. The email is leonard.collis@mountmarty.edu. Please reach out if you have questions. Please ask if you have questions. I will say that I'm an old man, and so I may not check my email after 7 or 8 p.m. in the evening. I will try to get back to you in the morning. On Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, I teach an evening class via Zoom. And so I probably won't check email after that class. So a lot of times, if you email me in the evening, I won't get to it until the morning. Very quickly, some stuff about plagiarism. Give credit where credit is due. You have responsibilities in school and professional situations to acknowledge any intellectual property you've made use of. Also, work to type better than I did. Make use of when you create arguments of your own. It's from a textbook called Everything's an Argument on page 484. Give credit where credit is due. Work to give credit where credit is due. You can't steal cars, you can't steal money, you can't steal intellectual property. If you're using someone else's intellectual property, you have to give credit. It's part of academia, it's part of being responsible as a student and as a professional. Plagiarism, claiming as your own the words, research, or creative work of others. Once again, that's from the book Everything's an Argument, page 484. If it's not yours, don't claim it. The words, the research, or creative work of others. And there are several ways to plagiarize. Buying essays from online essay mill, paying someone else to write the essay, copy and pasting someone else's work, all of those are obvious. But if you didn't clearly indicate the source of an idea that's obviously not your own, that's plagiarism. If you use a paraphrase that's too close to the original wording or structure, even if you cite the source but don't have quotation marks, that's plagiarism. And if you leave out parenthetical in-text reference, that would be plagiarism as well. And again, I've given you a quick citation from Everything's an Argument on page 487. Some information doesn't need to be cited. Common knowledge that your intended readers should know. Okay, Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon in 1969. Your people should know that. Custer was killed at the Little Bighorn. People should know that. And facts that are available from a wide variety of sources, including introductory textbooks, probably don't need to be cited unless you are taking a couple of sentences, unless you're taking everything word for word and copying and pasting that. But again, if you're just tossing out a random fact that people should know, you wouldn't have to cite that. This class doesn't have a research component. So most of the writing you submit should be able to use data that meet the two exceptions noted in the previous slide. If you quote an author of one of the articles in the textbook, if you quote Green, or if you quote one of the people he references, you need to use the proper author tag. You need to place the quotation in quotation marks. All of that still needs to happen. And look, don't plagiarize from canned sources. I know that there's a study guide for the Anthropocene Reviewed. I know that there's summary and insights of the Anthropocene Reviewed. I know that all of that stuff's available. So please remember, this is from the syllabus. In an instructional setting, plagiarism occurs when a writer deliberately uses someone else's language, ideas, or other original, and in parentheses, not common knowledge, material without acknowledging its source. This definition applies to texts published in print or online, to manuscripts, and to work of other student writers. Plagiarized work will receive a 0. I will be using the Google Classroom plagiarism detection tool and the Turnitin plagiarism detection tool to double check and detect any plagiarism. And then finally, the maxims governing the class. A maxim is a short, pithy statement expressing a general truth or rule of conduct. Number 1, don't attribute to malice that which can be attributed to ignorance. This is also called Hanlon's razor, or it's a version of Hanlon's razor. In other words, don't assume someone's out to get you if they don't assume that they probably don't know the whole situation. I may not know that your car blew up and you still got to class, and that's why the paper was late. You're going to have to let me know. I'm going to work hard to not take dull for an answer. One of the biggest examples of dull is this idea of I agree with what she said or I agree with what he said, and that's it. Why do you agree? How is that agreement relevant to the discussion? How is whatever you're writing relevant? How does it move things along? Don't take dull for an answer. I stole from Strunk and White, omit needless words. We are going to work to be concise. And although I might be hardcore on being concise, those of you who are going to be business majors, If you take the business communication class, conciseness is a big element of that class. Being concise makes one a better communicator, and that's one of the purposes of this class. I believe that readers can write and BS better than those who claim to be natural BSers and who don't read. And so, again, read the textbook, read in general. And finally, the fact that experts are fallible does not mean, I'm going to have to retype this one as well, does not mean that the opinion of non experts should be proved over an expert's analysis. Okay? Don't take the fact to mean that experts are fallible to mean that the opinion of non-experts should be preferred over an expert's analysis. And again, I have to do some retyping. So let's make this object lesson number 1. Work to proofread better than I did. Okay? Work to proofread better than I did. Hope everyone has a good day, and we're going to hopefully have a good semester, and I hope to see you all in class soon.